Alright, hi. This time I'm going to talk about my experience dealing with safety and danger as a trans woman. This isn't going to be a guide on like how to stay safe or like a detailed list of like the dangers that you might face as a trans person. It's more so going to be a somewhat structured rant about my like emotional experience dealing with the fact that being trans is dangerous and like how I've responded to that. So let's get right into it. So the obvious topic and the thing that is totally unavoidable is that being trans is dangerous, and being a woman is kind of dangerous, and being a trans woman, I am just at a greater risk for danger than the general population just because of who I am, just because I'm a trans woman. That is an unavoidable fact that I have had to learn to live with. The really weird part though is that the more I reflect on it, the more I realize that I just don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't faze me at all that my life is inherently more dangerous than like it was as like a cis man's. Like, it's just fine. It's fine. I'm just gonna keep living my life, and I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want still. And if it's more dangerous or it has like higher risk associated with it, so be it. That's what I gotta fucking deal with, and that's what I'm gonna do. And that's really just like genuinely my attitude. Is I've just got like a very cavalier attitude towards like danger and risk, just throughout my life. Not even related to being trans, but I'm kind of like a thrill seeker and like a risk taker. And you know, that might just be like the invincibility of youth or the fact that I'm like relatively inexperienced, like I've never been like mugged or assaulted or something. So maybe I'm just gonna get my world fucking rocked one day, like just get mugged on the street and then be like super cautious after that. But as it stands, I really strongly feel like the invincibility of youth thing. Like, I feel like I can just do whatever the fuck I want. Like, I can go outside at any odd hour of the night or just hang out in the street all day long and I'll be fine. Like, I know how to take care of myself. Like, fucking transphobic people can fuck off. Like, if they want to come fuck with me, then I'll whack them with my skateboard or something. I don't know, but... And also, it might just be, like, privilege. Like, I definitely am a relatively privileged person, trans person, I guess. Like, I've got, like, some amount of passing privilege because I pass most of the time, and I am white, and I've never really had, like, a lot of serious hardship in my life. Like, I've never, like, lived in, like, a particularly dangerous or super, like, queer-phobic environment. And particularly here, where I live, like, around, like, a major college with, like, 60,000 other young people, it's, like, not really like a hostile environment for queer and trans people. So maybe that's just my privilege, like, blinding me to like the actual dangers that I could face in the world. But honestly, in my experience up to this point in my life, 22 years old, fucking bring it. Like, I am not afraid. And it's kind of weird to feel that way. On one hand, I'm like pretty proud of myself for being so confident and like such a thrill seeker and a risk taker, and like I think that that's like kind of like an admirable quality for a person to have, so I'm glad that I have it. But on the other hand, I feel like a little bit guilty because maybe I'm just like privileged or inexperienced, and I hear people talking online all the time about being just like afraid to leave their bedroom because they're gonna step outside and get hate crimed because they're trans, and that's just not my experience. Like, I dress however I want. I go outside whenever I want and do whatever I want. And I cannot relate to these people that just are like afraid to leave the house and like participate in public life. And I know that like when you don't pass, that stuff is way harder, and like I'm just like a relatively extroverted person in general, so I guess if you're already like somewhat shy and introverted and then you don't pass very well and you've got like other like systemic disprivileges affecting you, then that could make it a lot harder to like engage with like the public sphere. So I'm totally empathetic towards those experiences, I just feel kind of strange that it's not my experience, and I like myself for it, but I also feel guilty about liking myself for it. I should bring this one up to my therapist. And then the other component of it is like, I think that I've expressed so far that this is like just part of my personality, so it's not even strictly related to being trans. Before I even knew I was trans and started transitioning, even then, I like planned to live kind of like a thrill seeker, risk taker kind of lifestyle. Like honestly, I'm trying to leave the United States as soon as possible, within like a year of graduating, and I just want to travel the world and like go everywhere, do everything. I'll go to any city or country or whatever, and I don't care if it's like dangerous there or like my parents and grandparents like freaking out, like, oh my god, don't go to that godforsaken country, you're gonna get murdered there. It's like, no, grandma, chill. Like, I'm just going to hang out in Peru or whatever. And that has been my mindset for years. And I want to do like exciting, like adventurous things in my life. And that was already like somewhat of like a high risk lifestyle that I've been targeting. And now the fact that I'm trans, it's like, are there even other trans women that do this? Like, I've never even heard, like, sure, there's like fucking people that will just like travel the world and like go on crazy adventures and take risks and stuff. But do other trans women do that? I've never heard of like another trans woman living that kind of lifestyle. And I just have such conflicted feelings about it. It's like, am I gonna get fucking murdered because I'm trans and I want to travel the world? Or am I just gonna be this like badass transgender Marco Polo figure that like is the first to do all these like cool amazing things and also be a trans woman? Or am I just getting in my own head now and like inflating my ego and being like, oh, you're so fucking cool, Veer, like you're the coolest trans girl that's ever lived? I don't know. I don't know exactly how to feel about it, but what I do know is that I am determined as all hell to live my life the way that I want to live it. And nothing is going to stop me. And I'll process the emotions, you know, as they come and as I get older, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to let anything stop me. So that comes down to, that leads into, like, realistically, what do I do though to like take precautionary measures to like keep myself safe, even when I'm in like these risky scenarios? And honestly, it's not that different for trans people than for anything else. Like when you're walking around in the city, like there's like city street smarts that are just basic principles that apply to everyone. Like, don't make yourself look like a target when you're walking down the street. Like, if you look like kind of like small postured and like meek and or like if you're like in a foreign city and you're like obviously a foreigner and you're like looking around like a tourist and like you kind of look like you're lost and you don't know what you're doing. I mean, I'm no like random assailant on the street that's like targeting people, so I don't know exactly what goes on in their heads. But my understanding is that like people who look like they're fucking lost or they don't know what they're doing or they're like terrified all the time make better targets. Like that's who people want to attack or whatever. And so I just try my best to not look like that. Like I fucking walk down the street like confident as hell. Actually, most of the time I'm riding my skateboard and I'm like this 5'11" person with this giant mane of hair, and I'm on a skateboard, which makes me look even taller, and I'm just like barreling down the street, usually blasting music off of a Bluetooth speaker too. Or if I don't have my skateboard with me, I'll like pick up a giant fucking stick and like carry it like a spear. I literally have this big ass stick on my porch from doing that the other night. And when I do have my skateboard though, like, not that it has ever come down to this or would ever come down to this, like this is all like a game of like appearances and like trying to make yourself not look like a target. But I can whack a motherfucker with my skateboard. Like, I know that thing like the back of my hand, like an extension of my body. The weight distribution of it, like I know exactly how to move it around. And I've never really, like, seriously thought about fighting somebody with it or had any reason to, but like, I could. I just know that thing like an extension of my arm, and I could like swing it at somebody. And I definitely couldn't win in like an actual fight, like bare fist or whatever, but I could at least like, I could do some damage with the skateboard. I'm gonna pick my notebook back up. I threw it down for dramatic effect, but I needed to figure out where I am in this monologue. So, oh yeah, and I like want to learn some like martial arts skills or something too. I wanted to learn like kickboxing. I think that'd be cool. But like, I think if I can, just continue to like hone my like street smarts and stuff as I continue to like live in a city and like have more experience with like kind of dangerous environments out in the city, and if I can take like some martial arts like self-defense classes or something, like I think that there are ways to mitigate the risk of inherently risky or dangerous like behavior or activities or lifestyles or whatever, and it's like that feels much better to me than just hiding in my fucking room forever, is to like learn how to fight and learn how to carry myself and like fucking assert myself in this goddamn transphobic world and do whatever the fuck I want, regardless of what transphobic cis people think of me. Like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and nobody's gonna fucking stop me. And that's really what it comes down to. And I hope that this is inspiring to you other trans girls out there that are like afraid to leave your room. Again, I feel really weird about like privileges and like the invincibility of youth and stuff like that, but I hope that this like at least does something. Like if somebody hears this and like gets a little bit of confidence to like, I don't know, make their life a little bit more on their own terms, I guess. If that helped anybody, then I will feel happy about myself. Anyway, I think I've been ranting for too long. Already 12 minutes. I think the YouTube algorithm likes 10-minute videos. Alright. Bye everyone.